Welcome to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed, where wellness gets a fun twist. I'm Gordy Jenkins, natural foods entrepreneur, and with me is Dr. Zed DeBout, our resident Stanford-trained health expert. We are former college swim teammates turned best friends, and now your guides through this crazy world of health trends and fitness hacks with a focus on getting the science right. Get ready for a wild ride. This is Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. This week, the doc and I are feeling the Olympic spirit. We first discuss news about the iffy living conditions for the athletes at the Paris Games, while learning about the ideal way to get good recoveries away from your own bed. Then we introduce a historical perspective on the most chaotic Olympic event ever, before we shine the science spotlight on Olympic injuries with a little friendly trivia. And as always, we wrap up with the fast fire questions. Zed, are you watching the Olympics?
Yeah, I have been watching them. Funny you should ask. Yesterday, I'm dating myself a bit here, but
you've been alive for one day now.
My wife got home from work and she's like, you know what I learned today that I didn't want to know? And I was like, it's probably something nasty at work. And I was like, what was it? And she was like, the women's team won the Olympic gold. And I was like, what the heck? Spoiler alert.
All right.
Because we usually wait to watch that night because they're doing all the highlights. And I was like, let me guess, Harry Potter's potion mastered. Anything you want to tell me about it?
Yeah, she's just listing off a bunch of spoilers for you.
Yeah.
I bet it
Snape,
sucks. The
Snape,
Hawaii schedule really is tough for linking up with the French live events.
It's usually not a problem because I'm so socially isolated. Also, I'm not on social media, but yeah, so she's kind of the weak link in the chain there. But it's fine. Yeah. Later, when we were watching it on the couch, she passed gas and kind of ruined the rest of it for me. So, yeah.
So that just wasn't fun anymore.
I know. Happy for the team though, but no. Honestly, this sounds such like a banal thing to say, but it's so inspiring. It's like, wow, look what humans are capable of. These aren't aliens or circus freaks, but it's just wild what the human body is capable of.
It makes me miss our old swimming days.
Yeah, seeing all the swimmers in their race suits and shit. All right, yeah. So this is what I was wondering. So they're winning, but even in the 800 meter free, I think the guy won by 2 to 3 100ths. But then one of the guys is wearing earrings. So you remember doing the whole shaving down process, literally every little follicle and piece of dead skin. And then don't you think the earrings would make 100th of a second difference over?
I know.
800?
I always think about that, but I think it's if you're feeling a little swaggy though, you can go a little faster, and it probably outweighs it. I feel like we had a teammate who'd always put in the earrings for the big events.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think it just makes you feel like a boss. I know. It's so hard to isolate the variables, because then you'd be like, well, without his earrings, he's a wimp and can't swim very fast. But when he gets his earrings, sure, there's a lot of drag on those ears, but boy, he feels motivated and confident.
I want to see the fluid dynamics data versus the earring swag data. But
get that guy in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, but no, the whole time on the couch, look at all the just ripped swimmers and athletes sitting next to my wife, and I can just feel her looking at me, and then looking back at the TV, and I'm just sucking in, we have to put on a shirt.
Well, that's good. That's why I only watch football mainly. When I just the linemen. I edit the thing so it's only linemen going at each other. Yeah, it's a fundamental game.
How about you? Anything jumped out?
No, man, I do. I mean, I miss being in such top shape that you can finish. I mean, I would never swim an 800 free in the first place, but if I accidentally did or whatever, it's cool to see the guy finishing and just being able to get out of the pool and have an interview, and you're just wow, you really are just a cardiovascular freak. Good job. That's pretty badass.
It would be tough. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't miss the some of the process of going to a big swim meet. Our last meet at NCAA's in where is it? Knoxville in Tennessee, at University of Tennessee. Yeah. Shaving down, the whole process is a lot. It's not as relaxing as you think. And I was watching the opening ceremonies, and I was remembering us before big meets, never using the stairs, pretty much skipping classes for an entire week because you didn't want to get your legs tired walking around campus. And then I see these people the day before a bunch of events hanging out on these boats on the river and cheering and stuff. There's no way that's not exhausting. I mean, but it's important to enjoy, but whole situation's exhausting. Just being there. Yeah. So I just remember that. And but we weren't at the Olympics. We just had to do stuff like shave each other down, which is exhausting. Like having to be like, Zed, it's time for you to shave my back, and like weird stuff. I don't even have hair on my back, but like it's all, it's such a tedious process. Do you miss shaving me?
A little bit. I miss like going into CVS and like the women's like razor aisle, because the women's razors were always way better than the men's razors.
Venus,
yeah,
I'm your fire, your desire. For sure.
Do you have any blade? Do you have any shavers with like 7 blades? I see you have like 6 blades, but how high does it go?
I need one more for this Latvian American skin of mine.
But it really was exhausting though, and sitting under like the hot shower in the locker room for like hours, and then just watching like. Yeah, at least we weren't some of the hairier guys.
It's tedious, man. Shaving's tedious, and like you're uncomfortable, and like if you're not good at it, like we are. We only shaved once a year back then, and it did feel amazing getting into like pajama bottoms or sweatpants. Like after you shave down, it feels crazy.
I will say I highly recommend, at least once in your life, anyone that hasn't shaved down, just to like, I don't know, you could even just do it your legs, but do like a full shave on your legs and then like jump in some water or like get in bed, and like it's such a bizarre, like weird sensation, but you really do feel like you have little spidey
body
senses.
Down, eyebrows, cover yourself in Vaseline and scare your spouse. That's what we recommend.
Fun for the whole family.
But dude, so like for non-swimmers, back to what Zed was talking about, the drag and the earring, a lot of the shaving isn't for drag, but is for feel, as you know, Zed. Just the sensation of once you shave down and shave that layer of skin off, that outer layer of skin, you have a lot more sense of touch and things like that. You can really feel the water and you feel faster. Even the water rushing over your legs, it feels like you're hauling ass. And maybe that's what the earrings do, just make him feel faster. I mean, he won, didn't he? Did he win?
Yeah. The one I saw was the Italian guy who I think got like second or something.
The bleached hair guy?
Could have been. He had his cap on.
Probably.
Tough to say.
Yeah.
But a lot of
latex hair.
But a lot of the women are like wearing earrings and stuff too. So yeah, I figured, I mean, someone must have done the study. Like there's enough like performance money that goes into this stuff. And they're like, it doesn't make that big of a difference.
I saw like one of the women with really long fingernails too. And I was thinking, how much could they be before you start getting like additional pull in the water and you're like extending the length of your fingers and you're like kind of making paddles out of your hands.
Yeah, or before it's like a band, like not a band substance, but like a band like addition or like performance enhancer or something. Yeah.
But, that's not the hill I'm going to die on.
One of the other things though, that like the gymnastics has been wildly inspiring. Like, I got in the gym the other day and like walked up to the big squat rack that has like the pull-up bar up top, like removed the bar so I had plenty of space for my routine. And I'm hanging about like 2 inches off the ground when I pull up, and I was just like hanging there for 15 seconds. Granted, like no chalk, no the little grippy things. I was like, hard. This is hard. And then I was just kind of imagining getting around and around, but no. So obviously dropped down, no hop, like smiled at the rest of the gym. And then just changed out of my leotard. But it was
flip that baby out.
But no, just a mad respect for like what these athletes are able to do, but also inspiring. Like the human body like can do this stuff, and maybe I should aspire for a little more in my life.
Well, you said you're doing great. All right, one thing at a time. All right, let's just get through this episode before you become an Olympic fencer or whatever.
Oh, last thing there, that reminds me. My wife was telling me that one of the Olympic fencers, I think it's the U.S. team, but she's like in medical school and like put a pause on medical school, or maybe didn't even put a pause and was like training for Olympic fencing while in medical school. And I was just like, wow, man, I wish I had a sword in medical school.
Yeah. I don't know if that's so shocking. Helpful. I feel like the dumb fencers are in jail for stabbing people. So it's self.
Or the really good fencers.
The really good ones. They're being used for their talent, espionage, and sorts like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Zed,
it's been fun to watch.
How about the article? Kind of in line with what we were saying about being away, being at a big meet, the things you have to go through, the energy, the weird dinners, you're not eating the normal food that you're eating. That seems to be what's going on at Olympic Village this year in Paris. Actually, before we get into that, let's just hear from our sponsors real quick. Hey, think you're ready for the Olympics? Find out with the Reality Check Athlete Simulator. Step into our VR world to compare yourself to real Olympic athletes in excruciating detail. Experience the agony of defeat with every simulated last place, disqualification, and injury, from torn ACLs to getting your sternum stepped on by 130-pound judoka. perfect for that overconfident person in your life, or anyone really who needs a harsh dose of reality. Reality Check Athlete Simulator, because sometimes dreams should stay dreams. So we're talking about a news article that came out during the Olympics about athletes having some issues with their living conditions. Typically, here there's a bunch of articles, but this Fox Sports one right here, and I'll just give you a little rundown some of the complaints from these athletes. So, a fellow podcast, Maddie and the Missile podcast, that is, it's a former Australian Olympic swimmer, sprinter, and another guy. So it's like a doctor and another guy. I feel for the other guy. Oh, some of the issues highlighted were the athletes don't like the food options. They don't like the rooms. The beds are made out of the anti-sex cardboard beds or something that can only hold one person at a time, and they like collapse if you like have more than one person on them. The Coco Gauff, the tennis player, is saying some teammates are moving out of their living quarters. Australian swimmers are saying it's affecting their performance. And I thought this quote by this rugby player kind of summarized it, which is the Olympics and people have trained so hard for 4 years and they turn up here and they're sleeping on cardboard beds. It's just ridiculous. So everyone's unhappy.
Small rooms and anti-sex beds and bad foods. What is this, your college experience?
Yeah, it is my college experience in a lot of ways. Go for it.
I was just gonna say that the irony of like it being hosted in Paris, like the city of like romance and like amazing French food and like just experiential sort of, I don't know, I already said romance. I'm saying romance a lot. That's fine. That's the city of romance.
Romance is in the air.
You get there and it's just like no sex, no ménage à trois, no ménage à deux. It's just ménage à moi. I feel
it is ménage à moi. None
marriage,
of that.
Marriage of myself. I believe.
This is what's really taking people off, though. An Australian boxer said he's limited on the number of lamb chops he's able to have.
Yikes.
That's big. That's big for an Australian boxer, I'd imagine.
Yes.
This is boxer, crazy. The British team is complaining about food quality. The British team.
It's probably too much flavor. They're seasoning it. And just boom.
So and USA is bringing their own air conditioning because it's hot. So there's a lot of calls for improvement in the facilities and the amenities for these athletes.
I would genuinely be livid. Like what's this Missile was saying, like you get to this point and you're like, you've been training for these 4 years, or sorry, it was the rugby player. And you've been training for all this time, like trying to reach like peak performance and just be ready. And then just like, imagine if we were like at nationals and we're like in like a hotel room, granted, just sharing like a king bed, which is ideal. But like if we had been on like a cardboard bed that only supported one of us, I don't know, like, I don't know. Maybe at that point you're just like whatever, and it actually like helps your like attitude.
Like go flu game on him.
Yeah. But I can't imagine it like helps otherwise.
It's just it is frustrating. The amount of investment of your time and energy just to have it like non-ideal conditions is not that. It's just not what the Olympics about. You know, I want to see the top performance of humans. Don't them all tired and stuff right when they get there. And take away their lamb chops.
Did Coco Gauff say where like teammates were like moving to? Are they just like doing Airbnbs or hotels? I have to imagine accommodations are pretty.
I think they'd probably
limited.
have to do a combo. I don't know. I mean, Coco Gauff sounds like a food, and she's moving out, so that tells you what's happening there.
How bad it is.
So today though, Zed, in light of that article, I thought we would discuss the best way to get good sleep when you're not sleeping in your own bed, whether you're traveling for business or competition or vacation or what have you.
Yeah, let's do it. So I would say first step, qualify for the Olympics. And then if you want to be able to rest well at the Olympics. Secondly, in failure of that, basically, even if you're not an Olympic athlete, we all travel. We've all experienced jet lag. Maybe everyone knows what jet lag is. I don't need to explain that. But basically, your body's a creature of habit. So new routine, like new food, new activity schedule, new light schedule. Your body's just like, excusez-moi. Je ne sais quoi. Oh, this is in France. Your body would say that. I'm trying to think.
That's true.
Yeah, if you
Well,
were
I think if your
in,
body isn't adjusted to jet lag, it probably isn't speaking French yet. You got to get that body speaking French, and that is through that circadian hacking, right?
exactly. So yeah, no, circadian rhythm basics. Circadian rhythms are just this natural internal process that really follows a 24-hour cycle. So kind of guided by our exposure to the sun. And so this cycle influences a ton of different physiological functions, but the main one we're discussing here is the sleep-wake cycle. These rhythms are regulated by the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, different than the supercharismatic nucleus, which I believe you had removed as a child.
I did. Yeah, no, I had it removed, and they, I can't think of anything because I'm not super chiasmatic.
The Riz nucleus. But no, it's the suprachiasmatic nucleus that's located in the hypothalamus, thalamus, which responds to light and dark signals from the environment. So the role of these circadian rhythms in getting quality sleep is crucial. So if you're out of whack or you're getting light when your body's not used to it, or you're eating or exercising or trying to break world records at a time that your body's kind of not ready for, you'll really feel that. Basically, you won't have those regular signals to your body when you are supposed to feel sleepy and when you're supposed to feel awake.
I wonder how early the athletes usually would get there to even get their schedules adjusted, or like how long it even takes, because it probably takes a while. You'd want to get there at least few weeks early.
Yeah, I would think so. I know the NFL, even though like games are a week apart, they've started traveling, especially like West Coast to East Coast, traveling to East Coast games to get, even though it's just 3 hours earlier maybe than they usually play, but they try to get there at least a day to 2 days earlier. But I would have to think for a lot of these athletes for the Olympics, they're getting there on the order of weeks early to train and be in that time zone.
And that's interesting you brought up the football thing, because I remember when the Chiefs played the Dolphins in Germany this year, and they kind of did something unconventional, which is they left really late, and they were just like, all right, we're not going to be able to get on the schedule in time, so let's keep on our schedule as much as possible, and if anything, just everyone's going to feel like they woke up really early today, but we're not going to throw you out of the overall circadian rhythm, because I'm guessing it takes some time and of adjustment and like training your body of when it's used to. I think the aspect of how light and just, is related to your circadian rhythm and your sleep cycle later in the day. Like how important it is to get morning light to like your circadian rhythm going, and then not to have evening light so it doesn't think that it's morning again. I just think that's super interesting. Just kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of mind-boggling how powerful like this external signal that light is, like influences our biology. Like we think about, plants like run all their energy off of light, and you'll see plants sort of rotate throughout the day to orient themselves towards light. And even like, it sounds dumb, but like you'll get a sunburn and be like, "Wow, yeah, the sun's pretty hot." But it's also like this biological like signaling force, which is really wild. And so we really are these outdoor apes that have depended on this to regulate our circadian rhythms. And really, like, it's so whenever we mess with these things, that's when we get like irregular sleep or insomnia, ultimately kind of like affecting our health.
Yeah, it's true. It's like we're literally getting energy from a star side. We're like, all right, just got to get this energy from the star so my brain works correctly and I don't feel tired and awful all the time. It's just kind of weird. It's a little bit of like some magical feeling in science there. That's interesting.
Energy from a star. That's how I feel podcasting with you, Gordy.
Oh, geez, that was nice for a change. Thanks, man.
Also, I was going to give you a French name for in honor of this Paris Olympics podcast. So I was thinking something like Le Gordon.
Le Gordon Bleu. Oui, oui, oui. C'est très populaire. Very nice. Il est super cool. All right, you can call me Le Gordon Bleu.
Still got it. All right. Well, El Gordon Bleu. So, switching to
those French class paying off.
Yeah, sorry, Mrs. Jackson. Her name was actually, I don't want to dox anyone.
Ooh, anyways, I am for real. You can't send me with the sorry, Miss Jackson.
Je suis for real.
Vraiment.
All right, so we'll transition to actionable like sleep tools for traveling. So I know there's a bunch of other podcasts so for example, the Huberman Lab, The Drive, and other ones that have like a ton of info and have done a bunch of expert interviews on the subject and have really popularized some of these techniques. But here are like a couple of the quick takeaways and sort of actionable things that you can bring along for when you're traveling, or if you're just trying to reset your sleep schedule. So I would say the first thing that appears paramount for regulating the circadian rhythm, especially as pertains to your sleep-wake cycle, is temperature, body temperature. So there's a temperature minimum. So your body temperature is not the same all day. So we're familiar with like it's typically like 98.6 or around there. And if you have a fever, it goes higher, etc. But throughout the day, that temperature kind of rides this wave where it rises throughout the day and into the night and then slopes down. And then you have a temperature minimum sometime early in the morning. And then after that, it starts rising again. So that temperature minimum is the lowest point in the 24-hour cycle. And so that's obviously when your body temp is at its lowest. And so it's at that time, that's the like sort of differentiation time where you can then implement techniques that can either sort of push your cycle forward, where you want to sleep in later and wake up later, or you want to wake up earlier and go to sleep earlier. So the way you can calculate that temperature minimum, it's not even, you don't calculate like the temperature in degrees, you actually just calculate the time. So if you typically wake up at 7, or you can take your average wake up time over the course of a week and then subtract 2 hours from that average time, that's the time where it's most likely your temperature minimum occurs. So if I'm waking up at, on average, 7 o'clock every morning for the week, my temperature minimum probably occurs at 5 a.m. So once you have that temperature minimum, that's where you can start making these interventions. So if you get anything that sort of, the way I try to like frame this is, if you get anything that sort of wakes you up, whether it's like light or exercise or eating, or you're heating your body up, if you do it in the 4 to 6 hours before your temperature minimum, so before that 5 o'clock time, then you'll delay your clock. You'll wake up later and you'll want to go to bed later. Vice versa, if it's in the 4 to 6 hours after that temperature minimum, so anything that kind of wakes you up but after that temperature minimum, that will advance your clock. So you'll want to wake up earlier and fall asleep earlier. So for example, if you're going to see a Chiefs game and they're playing in Berlin, and you're like, shoot, like they're obviously way ahead in time, mail, and you want to be able to kind of wake up earlier and go to bed earlier, because that's kind of the time frame you'll be on for maybe like a week before. If you're really taking this wildly seriously, which you may not be, you would kind of do something that wakes you up.
Germany, Zed. I'm going to be ready for it.
Then you're going to want to start doing something that like activates you in that 4 to 6 hours after your temperature minimum. So you're getting up at like 5:30, you're hopping in the sauna and you're eating scrambled eggs in there, and you're
that
just
sounds
like
disgustingly smelly,
blasting light. So yeah, that would be my advice to you.
That's cool. That really is just like hacking your body, though. It seems like.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating, and that it really does come down to the temperature is that variable.
Yeah, you were mentioning like so food and like when you eat, like if you have coffee, if you have caffeine, does that all factor into the circadian rhythm out the entire day even, or how does that work?
Yeah. So there are sort of these dead zones when your circadian rhythm is a little less responsive to some of these signals. But yeah, again, the crucial time zone is the 4 to 6 hours before your temperature minimum and the 4 to 6 hours afterwards. But again, like other things you can do that will really help is once you get to the location, or even beforehand, like eat on that local schedule. So you may not be hungry, but try to get something in your stomach around breakfast, like local time, and then just do activities that you would kind of normally do on your schedule, but on that schedule. So if you exercise in the morning, etc., again, optimally, you would do this within those time sort of windows relative to your temperature minimum. But those are all tools, sort of environmental tools that you can use.
So yeah, and so I've heard, like, I don't know, just do you think this has any truth? Like if you're going on a business trip somewhere and it's maybe less than 72 hours, it may behoove you to just stay on the origin circadian schedule and your sleep schedule and your eating schedule as much as possible, so you don't get thrown back off when you return from the overseas trip. But that I've heard that anything older or longer than that, you should try to force yourself into getting on the destination schedule ASAP, if not before you even get there.
I think that's a great point, because you could do all this work, and if you're only there for 3 days and then you're barely adjusting, and then you fly back and then you have the same jet lag issues. Totally agree. And so it may be best just to stick to your schedule, even if it doesn't quite fit with your location, so that when you get back, you're not wildly like knocked out of your circadian rhythm. But no, great point. And then in terms of like other physical implementations, or just things that I would pack in my suitcase that make a big difference, just because these are usually variables you can't really control in your hotel or your Airbnb or your Olympic dorm room. But I always bring like a sleep mask, and like I have a little one where it's kind of elevated off your eyes, so it's not like pressed against my eyelids, which I have trouble with. I'm a little bit of a princess in a pea. And then And then I always bring silicone earplugs. I'm like very noise sensitive, and I hate like the little like foamy ones, and you just end up throwing it away anyways. And so they have these nice silicone ones. And then I also do like, I know people that bring pillows because like pillows can be very hit or miss. Mouth tape, you may be familiar with mouth tape as kind of like an anti-snoring device, and just kind of forcing that flow through the nose. And then phone exposure is the other big one. Like you just cannot be on your phone, especially if you're like more light sensitive. I would put it away somewhere between like 2 to 3 hours before bed, which seems crazy, but like if you're really trying to optimize that sleep, that can be a big factor.
I know you're pretty good. You care about your sleep and your sleep hygiene. Are you pretty good about not using your phone at a certain amount of time before bed, or like avoiding blue screens?
Yeah, I definitely been avoiding blue screens. I'll set like my phone aside, like in a different room, really helps. They also have, we'll get into some of the sort of other solutions shortly, but yeah, we'll cover some of the blue light blocking sunglasses and stuff. But the last thing I wanted to chat about real quickly was briefly like just mention supplements, because there's a ton of info out there. I've personally found magnesium helpful at times, and I know many people are deficient. I think the stat is like 50% of Americans are magnesium deficient, but we can save
I want to do a magnesium episode. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, we will.
I've been needing that more and more with overtraining, and we'll definitely get into a magnesium episode. But magnesium, good for sleep cycles.
And then the other like very basic ones that a lot of you are familiar with, but maybe a little harder to implement, is just like avoiding alcohol and caffeine. I mean, caffeine is fine if you're trying to wake up, but again, within that sort of time zone. And then some of the other things that you can implement if you're struggling or you're awake at night. There's the meditation, there's the breath work, body scans that kind of falls under the umbrella of non-sleep deep rest, or like yoga nidra. And these are just these are kind of methods of really focusing on body rather than your like thoughts, and you're like, if you have racing thoughts or you're just thinking about tomorrow or the fact that you can't sleep. This is ways to really sort of transition your like sensory system to your body, and kind of just feeling comfortable in your bed and feeling like your muscles in your skin, how they're like touching the sheet. So you can Google these or YouTube them. There's some guided like meditations and stuff, but that can really help transition to rest and sort of a more relaxed state and ramp down your central nervous system. So those are the main ones. And then, yeah, I listed a couple quirky sort of anecdotal ones that I always think are fun to go through that like I found elsewhere, but that people
hit me with some anecdotes. Hit me, what do people swear by as cures for insomnia?
So one of the like more interesting ones I've heard of is if like you can't fall asleep, like go lie on like a cold kitchen floor, or if you have like a cold hardwood floor in your house, just go lie on that for 10 minutes. It's very goofy to imagine, but I can kind of see it just being like very uncomfortable and like cold. And by the time you get back in bed, you're like, oh, this is much nicer.
Isn't a kitchen floor.
Yeah. Or maybe go lie on a Paris Olympic bed for 10 minutes and then come back to your bed.
That sounds nice. All right, so that sounds. I'll give that one a shot. I mean, I could see just like the needing to like reset yourself for a second, and I'm usually hot. If I can't sleep, being too hot is often the culprit.
And you start thinking about your own tricks too, because I want to hear if you have any advice. But the lie on the cold floor kind of merges into this next one, which is reverse psychology, in terms of telling yourself to like stay awake, or like I can't fall asleep. That can actually sometimes paradoxically help you fall asleep and relax you, which is
I like
bizarre.
That kind of takes some pressure off. Be like, all right, fuck it, I don't even want to sleep. I'm just gonna stay awake, and we'll see if I sleep.
Just playing hard to get from sleeping.
Yeah, I like it. Makes
you will never get
the Sandman want you even harder.
But no, some other things that you can use, especially like in the ramp down time during the evening, is you can buy like blue light blocking glasses, and that again just helps prevent your circadian rhythms from being disrupted by all this like unnatural like fluorescent light or blue light from our screens. And then a couple other ones. This one could be another one to put in your back pocket: sleeping with your head facing to the north. So based on like some beliefs, sleeping in that orientation helps you align with the magnetic fields of the earth. And I don't know, I haven't tested this, but anecdotally, so yeah,
it sounds so ridiculous. Yeah, it sounds stupid, but it's also one of those things that like there's tons of examples of animals, probably us in some degrees, aligning ourselves to the geomagnetic fields of the earth. You know, I know birds navigate it, can do huge feats of navigation with it and stuff. So while it sounds nuts, we were just talking earlier how we get energy from a star, so we're not jet lagged. So some of this. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Me shaking you awake at night, like, Corey, where's the compass? Where's the compass?
Yeah, where's the compass? I am the compass. I always face north when I sleep.
But no, so those are the main ones. But yeah, any other ones you want to add or that's worked for you in the past?
No, not been having much. I've been kind of a bad sleeper recently. But one thing that does, it's kind of more like the laying on the ground one, is just getting out of bed and just going to a different place for a second and just resetting there. Like I'll foam roll or something like that, just like kind of stretch out and make my back feel loosened up again and just reset. Because if I just lay there for hours, just counting the time, rolling around, and with my shoulder surgery recently, it's not very comfortable being in bed. So I have to just get out of bed and reset and then go back. So it's kind of a mix between the playing hard to get with sleep and lying on the cold floor.
Yeah. I would not recommend shoulder surgery for sleep issues. I feel like it hasn't really trended down since then.
No, it's
shoulder
really been
trending
awful.
up, sleep trending down.
That's right. Cool, Zed. I appreciate that. I think that that's interesting and actionable. We all hate jet lag. I like it. My wife's a night shift worker though, so she's always living in that kind of jet lag feeling. So, it's one of those things that even if she really wants to see the sun in the morning and wants to go outside in the evening, which before but it throws off her circadian rhythm so much.
So she kind of has to stick to that schedule.
Definitely feel for her in that respect. She's tough though. So cool. Anything else you want to touch on about how to improve sleep and recovery away from your own bed?
Hell nah. Most of that you have to actually go deeply into debt for, and like at a not-for-profit institution. So to look that kind of stuff up. So yeah, I think
fair enough.
Exhausted.
We're good then. Right, and next, Zed, I have a little bit of a new segment for you. It is historical perspective. Hey, see, it's going through health, historical perspective right here. And Zed, this historical perspective is about the Olympics, as this episode is, but specifically about one of the craziest events or races that actually took place. Let me take you back here to the 1904 St. Louis Summer Olympics.
Close to home.
Yeah, very 4 hours from KC. Olympics town. They call Kansas City the Olympics town because it's 4 hours away from the 1904 host St. Louis, Missouri. All right, so the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis feature the most incredibly chaotic and controversial marathon event of all time. The race had only 14 out of the 32 participants finish and was marred by bizarre incidents. First of all, the race was run in brutal heat, with temperatures reaching 90 degrees, which is 7 degrees cooler than it was yesterday at the Olympics in Paris. But back then, that was very, very, very hot for them. That was very hot.
No AC.
There's no St. Louis being 90 degrees in the summer that's like fine. It should be like 100%
humidity.
Yeah, exactly. But worse though, the course was dusty and like super hilly, and there's only one water station. So severe dehydration among a lot of the competitors. That's probably why only 14 of the 32 finished. And it was a dirt course. And so it would get even worse when the accompanying vehicles that were driving next to the runners was like kicking up air or dust, and it was kicking up dust and they couldn't breathe.
The runner's just like, can you guys not?
You have to be driving that 1904 vehicle next to me? Like, what is that even? All right.
It's a horse.
Yeah. So get that horse out of here. But my favorite part about this weird story is the marathon winner, Thomas Hicks, was given a mixture of strychnine, which is a pesticide and a poison used to kill small rodents, a mix of strychnine and brandy as a performance enhancer during the race. And at the time, this was considered an acceptable form of doping as there were no regulations against it. Hicks barely finished the race and had to be carried across the finish line by his trainers. And this is an incident, which I'll get into a little bit here, is one of the earliest recorded cases of doping in the Olympics. So, interestingly, Zed, although Hicks won, the doper, he was not the first to cross the finish line. That would be Fred Lors. Lors, however, had abandoned the race after 9 miles, and he got into a car and drove most of the race. And then he re-entered the race with 5 miles before the finish line and ran it. And then the event coordinators discovered it, and the officials, and they're like, Lors, damn you. And they disqualified him. And Lors literally just claimed it was a joke. Like he was waiting all his life to play the ultimate joke at the Olympics where he cheated and won the marathon.
Not only did he like try to skip most of it, he's also the one like kicking up all the dust.
Yeah, in the car. Yeah, exactly. He's contributing to other people. Yeah, for sure. Fuck you, Lors, baby. Yeah. See you on the finish line. Yeah, the other guy's like half dead, getting drugged. So yeah, all right. Under the current rules. Yeah, was that a car? No, that's Lortz. Oh, get him. So if the race had been run under current rules, our hero, Thomas Hicks, the winner, the doper, would also have been disqualified for his use of strychnine. But actually, he didn't choose to use it, Zed. He was unwittingly administered the concoction of egg whites and brandy laced with a small amount, 1.1 milligrams, of strychnine, by his assistants in a vain attempt to boost his stamina during the race. So he's running, he's like stumbling around, already tired, and the assistant just like walking up with like a little Dixie cup of just like brandy, like making some rat poison, mixing it up, just putting it in his mouth. He's like, fuck, that's horrible, quit doing that. So anyway, they hit him with the first dose, and it didn't revive him enough. It like gave him a little energy, but then he was like, I'm dying again. And so they hit him with another one, which helped him win the race. But he was hallucinating by the time he reached the finish line, and he collapsed. Then it said that another dose would have been fatal. I would have killed this young man.
Jesus, him just like lying on the ground. Like, was that Lors that went by earlier?
Could have swore I saw him in a horse. Like, you're hallucinating.
Wait, so what part of strychnine? Like, why did they think it would help boost performance?
Strychnine. Strychnine. Strychnine been forbidden for athletes, from athletes, two athletes. Athletes are forbidden, indeed, since the late 1960s, when the International Olympic Committee started testing them for drugs. And actually, the last known use of strychnine occurred way back in 2016, when a weightlifter tested positive. That's kind of nuts. Like, someone's still doing that. And so you're probably asking, why? Did this guy have a rodent problem? Was he a mouse? No. Strychnine was popular as an athletic performance enhancer due to its strong convulsant effects. And so it's said to make your muscle contractions stronger in your heart, in your bowels, because I guess you could use it for anything. And I guess that would be very strong for a rat, so strong that the heart would attack itself into a heart attack. Zed, how about that race? How about that race?
Man, that's a wild one. It's good bad for Lors, kind of good for Lors, but yeah, proud of Hicks. Jeez, in spite of the whiskey sour with strychnine, very impressive. Bravo.
Good. It's the milk that got him. Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. No,
someone give me milk again.
Someone give me milk. I'm tired of getting carried over the finish line.
I should be walking.
Yeah, so I think they take. So while we're saying the athletes now maybe don't have the best conditions, I'm sure like Hicks had to go back to the coal mine that he worked in afterwards and just chill for a little bit or whatever. So yeah, he tried his best.
Cardboard beds must be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, you guys have beds?
Love to, yeah.
For sure.
I would love to not have sex in a bed for once.
Sure, I would. All right. Zed, do you want to move us along? We got a little bit of a science spotlight now.
Science spotlight. Yeah, science.
Oh, heck yes. No, I'm excited about this one. All right, so for Science Spotlight this week, I figured we could do a little Olympic injuries game show. So for sort of common injuries in Olympic sports, I've taken the liberty of selecting 6 sports, and I will quiz you a multiple choice or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style. Do they do multiple choice in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah. A, B, C, D.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, I got those. And then, so I'll give you the sport, and you have to give me which injury is the most common to that sport. Are you ready?
All right. So you're going to give me the sport and I guess the injury, or are you going to give me choices?
I'm going to give you the sport, and then I'll give you the injury choices.
All right. Let's do it.
A, B, C, D.
Do it.
All right. And a quick question before we start. Have you had any strychnine in the last day?
Convulsing.
It's convulsing. His bowels, they're convulsing. All right. So first we have equestrian. A, for the sport of equestrian, which injuries are the most common? A, clavicle fractures. B, this one's real, Ney fever. C, MCL sprains. D, sacral bursitis.
Could you spell Ney fever for me real fast?
Yeah, Neigh fever.
So it's like fever.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
All right. Is the horse getting hurt here, or is this the person? The horse keeps breaking his collarbone.
It's the person riding.
What was the last choice again? Sorry.
A sacral bursitis.
All right. I'm gonna guess. First off, I'm gonna guess the clavicle fractures because I'm guessing you break your collarbone when you get tossed from a horse. But I don't know. Were people getting tossed from a horse very much? I'm gonna stay with that. But I would also like to clarify what is sacral bursitis. Bursitis of the sacrum.
Sacral. Correct.
Where is the sacrum for those who hypothetically wouldn't remember?
It's one of the final bones of your spine. It's like basically between your sit bones.
Doesn't sound like you know where the sacrum is.
It's definitely somewhere down there.
Yeah, it's by your tail, or it's not your coccyx, but around there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I could actually see sacral bursitis then, because you're getting your. That doesn't really come through on video, but what I'm doing is I'm mimicking a horse, me riding a horse. So I'm gonna have to go with sacral bursitis. I'm gonna say they butt got bursa big. D.
Gordon LeBlanc. I wish you'd sticked with your sticked. I wish you'd sticked with your initial answer. It was actually A, clavicle fractures. So totally fooled you on the sacral bursitis. Right. I have no idea where the sacrum is, but no, it's down there somewhere. But no, so it actually is clavicle fractures. It's riders getting thrown from their horse like you kind of intuited, and breaking the old clav.
So you didn't make up Ney fever though?
No, I did. I definitely did.
Okay, I was like, all right, good. I was like, no way.
There's no way that's
no way. All right.
So clavicle fractures, and then some of the other more common injuries for equestrian are concussions. So again, from falls, and then there actually are quite a few soft tissue injuries. So your sprains and strains, just from the physical demands of the riding.
Cool.
All right. So
interesting. I like that. It's an interesting one.
Not off to our best start, but you can still make the podium, Gordon.
I'm going to stick with my first instinct.
Second, we have handball. All right. Your answer choices are A, hand sprain, B, ankle sprain, C, ball sprain, D, hand and mouth disease.
All right. Is it hand and mouth disease, or is it hand in mouth disease?
In mouth. It would never be hand and mouth.
Okay, just making sure. I have too small of a mouth and too big of hands. All right. So handball is a sport. I used to be really good at that PE, and every Olympics I dream of playing against a bunch of middle schoolers.
So fun.
Yeah, dude, I'd be crushing those kids. I'd be great at it. Hypothetically, I didn't get a hand sprain, ankle sprain, or ball sprain. I'm gonna say ankle sprain is the most common injury, probably because it's basically like basketball or something. I'm gonna go with ankle sprain is the most common injury of handball. Final answer.
All right, lock it in. Gordon, you're on the podium, baby.
Yes,
great intuition. Yes. Surprised you didn't go with hand and mouth disease, but a little less common for handball. But no, so exactly your reasoning as well. So you're just a lot of rapid sort of agility movement on the court. And so basketball or some of these other sports, ankle sprains are up there. And then for your other two most sort of common injuries for handball, there are knee injuries, like you might imagine in terms of ACL, MCL, that kind of thing. And then shoulder injuries. So this may be a little too close to home, but rotator cuff tendonitis or tears from all that
all that handball. And I don't want to even think about rotator cuff tears.
All right. Well, lock it in.
Then don't.
Yeah, it seems like a personal problem. All right.
All right.
All right,
So
Gordon,
I'm 1 of 2 so far. Let's go.
Are you ready for your third and final question? Opportunity for the silver medal.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. Lastly, we have judo. So for judo, is the most common injury A, gi itch, B, Tokyo drift, C, shoulder dislocation, D, concussion? And happy to explain any of those answer choices if you're not familiar with those injuries.
All right. So Tokyo drift, I could have sworn I've seen written down before, maybe, I don't know, in a movie or something. What is that in as an injury?
So the movie has made it obviously most famous and well-known in popular culture, but it's actually, so you may be familiar with the sensation when you spin around a bunch of times or get off a amusement park ride, but that feeling of like dizziness and not being able to walk in a straight line, you're kind of drifting to the side. So because of the demands of judo and the sort of the rapid throws, you actually get a little bit of vestibular issues. And so judo players will often have a little bit of what they call Tokyo drift.
All right. Well, that's a pretty convincing way to tell me that. So, all right. I'm side-eyeing you. All right. What's I know what a GI itch is, but it'd be fun to hear. Oh, no, I don't. What is a GI itch?
Gordon. Sorry, Gordon.
Oh, gi.
It's a gi
itch.
Gi.
Itch. What is a gi itch?
So the gi is the sort of the robe-like thing that judo players wear in tournaments. So looks a tiny bit like a bathrobe, but much more robust. And so you can kind of think about it like jock itch. Of course, it gets like very sweaty, and you're rubbing off a lot of like skin in there, so you just have more room for skin abrasions and resulting infections, mostly fungal.
I did
for
jujitsu
a
for
while.
a while.
Lovingly refer to that as gi itch. Oh, okay. So
I don't know. I've worn a gi. I just wasn't thinking. I was thinking, I don't know. I was thinking French. Like GUI, GUI. Gi.
Well, you are French for today.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to go with shoulder dislocation on this one because I just feel like you're judo. You're throwing people a little bit, right? And I'm gonna go shoulder dislocation. I could feel that being one.
And is that your final answer? All right, Gordon, you really redeemed yourself on this one. Not a great start, but 2 for 2 on the final 2 questions. Shoulder dislocation is correct. Silver medal. So not gold, but silver.
Nope. Could be worse though.
Maybe next Olympics.
Right. So that was fun. I appreciate that. That was cool.
So I guess you don't want to know what other common injuries there are.
Please do. Tell me. Sorry, I didn't mean to wrap it up. I was just, ready for my podium. What are some common judo injuries?
Other common injuries are knee injuries. So again, because of sort of that rapid like sidestepping and tripping, etc., you'll get knee ligament injuries, particularly to the ACL, one of our favorite knee ligaments. And then as pertains to the gi, you will get lots of finger injuries because your hands and like fingers are kind of wrapped up in the gi for like the throwing, etc. And so you'll get breaks or sprains, that's dislocations from gripping the opponent's gi. Confession. Can I confess something? Would that be all right?
Please. Of course. You're always safe space.
I did make up the Tokyo drift answer.
That was good though. I thought you were, but I thought that was a very. I mean, just because of how confident you sounded. Usually, you look like a little weasel trying to tell me that.
Don't try to get me.
That was good though. No, you're good.
Strychnine.
At a certain point, I was like, "Oh man, it was Tokyo Drift, the movie named after like a weird sensation." Got me there. That was good. I wanted to applaud that.
Well, I didn't get you because you still got the right answer, but no, congrats on the silver medal. And quick medal fact. So the gold medals at the Olympics are actually predominantly silver. There's like 430 grams silver and then plated with like 6 grams of gold. Because if they were all gold, they'd be like $40,000. But the silver is just like around $500.
Whoa, that's cool. Geez, that's a lot. Yeah. Those are some thick goals. Fair enough. Are the silver medals actually just plated with silver and made out of like tin or something?
It's actually a combination of egg white and strychnine.
the bronze, so you just get a packet of rat poison. Like, have great job.
Yeah. Who's the weasel now?
True. Sorry about that. But Zed, you could potentially hear music depending on the mastery of this editing software. But that sound does indicate that it's my time to ask you some questions with our final segment today, the Fast Fire Questions.
Gordy and Zed's Fast Fire Questions.
Zed, as always, we like to lead things off with our first question, would you rather?
Would you rather?
Zed, would you rather win a gold medal at the Olympics or set a world record? And so just a stipulation, so you don't give me some smart answer. The world record will be, you'll get the world record not at the Olympics, at some, national event or something like that.
All right. Well, first of all, let me promise you now, I will never give you a smart answer. Second of all, could not be an easier question. I'll take the gold medal anytime because the Olympic record can eventually be beaten, but no one's gonna pry that mostly silver medal out of my cold, dead hands. I don't know. I just feel like that's something, especially if I die from my doping that it took to get there. But no, like the gold medal, I feel like it's just so much. I feel like it means more. It's something physical, tangible. You can share with your family. You can have it in your house. No one's gonna beat your time and then revoke your gold medal. I feel like it's just a little bit more substantial and meaningful. What about you?
I agree. I think that no one can take away a gold medal for you. And I don't think my answer even changes if what if your record is guaranteed to last 50 years?
50, nah, because then it's still it just feels.
You think you got 50 years
left? No.
Oh, you do. You do. All right, so you still take the gold medal over a world record, so you'd rather just know that you have a gold medal rather than the mental knowledge of being I am the fastest person to ever exist.
Yeah, definitely, especially if it's only for a chunk of.
Yeah. All right, I think I agree. I think winning a gold medal, take that too. No one can take that away. Well, cool. Time for our next question, which is, would it kill me?
Would it kill me?
Zed, would it kill me? We talked a little about caffeine earlier. Would it kill me if I ate a cereal bowl full of ground coffee in just one sitting? Just with a spoon, just coffee, just dry coffee.
Are you also eating the bowl or just the coffee?
Just the coffee. No bowl.
Also, as always, we like to remind listeners that this is Would It Kill Gordy. This does not pertain to any of our listeners. Yeah. This is strictly related to Gordy or Gordon.
Thank you.
No, it wouldn't kill you. So you can get caffeine poisoning or sort of acute effects from too much caffeine consumption. We're familiar with the basic jitters or just feeling overly anxious, not being able to sleep, just kind of maybe a little nauseous, decreased appetite. But it's with that much caffeine or with that much ground coffee in one sitting, it's not going to get to the point where you're actually dying or it's inducing cardiac arrest or anything like that. So you can enjoy your morning cup bowl of Folgers, no problemo.
Good. So I can keep doing that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many I would have to eat before. Do you think I would just start vomiting from the sheer volume of coffee grounds before I died from just too much stimulant?
I suspect so. I suspect you'd probably have acute digestion issues or vomiting or diarrhea before
I do have acute digestion issues. Super acute.
Cute. Just a cute little burps.
Just a cute little digestive issues.
But lost my train of thought. That's fine. But no.
Well, don't you worry about it, because I'm about to shock you back into it.
Yeah, but no, we could look up lethal doses of caffeine. I assume it's pretty high up there.
All right, then we can give it a shot next episode. Zed, it's time for the final fast fire question, the one that is special because it is not a question, it is Shock the Doc.
Shock the Doc.
So this is a little fun fact about a man named Bradley Cooper. And no, not that Bradley Cooper, Zed. I'm talking about Australian Brad Cooper, who won a gold medal in the 400 freestyle in the 1972 Olympics.
He probably had enough lamb chops.
See, he had a lamb chops. He didn't even need that many lamb chops, because you'll find out why. He won the 400 free in 1972. Originally, at the time of the swimming, he finished second, kind of like our dude Thomas Hicks. Bradley Cooper, he was later awarded the gold medal after the winner, an American, Rick DeMont, an asthmatic, not really patient-friendly language, a person with asthma, was disqualified after his post-race urinalysis tested positive for banned substances from his inhaler. So our dude Bradley Cooper actually won. But the shocking thing is that the shocking thing about him is that he was 5'3". He is the shortest swimmer to ever win an Olympic medal, and he won a 400 freestyle, kind of by technicality because the asthmatic. He won the 400 freestyle at 5'3" tall. Isn't that crazy?
Especially like modern day, like what most of the guys in the 200 free were like over like 6'5" or something. I feel like the announcer was saying we're like 6'8", but no. I mean, I remember people used to say that like the pool was the great equalizer because there was more like form and technique involved, and there's less advantage to being taller. And goodness knows, like I got my ass beat by like plenty of people shorter than me, but 5'3", it would have to just give you a little bit of a significant disadvantage.
And he's not a breaststroker either. He's a freestyler, which you think of like you can get away with some of the short, with breaststroke or something that's not as long of a pole and all of that you're getting down.
Okay, I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say an aside about Australians.
Let's hear it.
If you say rise up lights, like RISEUPLIGHTS, like say that, those 3 words.
Rise up lights.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying razor blades in an Australian accent. Rise up lights.
Rise up lights.
Rise up lights.
Oh, Gordy, can you shave my back? Get the rise up lights.
Get the rise up lights. I can't. I'm an asthmatic and an American asthmatic, so I don't have an accent. To me,
it's okay to do accents, right?
I think Australians are okay. I think we'll just get our toes wet with Australians, maybe some Canadians, a Swede,
French.
I don't know, something safe.
Go from there.
Hey,
all right, well, cool.
Zed, we got some socials to mention that we have updated since last time. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. I was just going to give you your lethal dose of caffeine, but social is also important.
I don't need it. I'm already talking over you.
It's life or death, but we don't have to. Yeah, we can go to socials.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening, everyone. We appreciate it. Please listen each week on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. New episodes will be dropping early Monday morning. Give us a follow on Spotify. Please give us 5 stars. Is that the most, Zed? 5 stars?
Yeah, so if you really like us, you can give us 5 stars because that is the most. And if you really hate us, you can give us 5 big nuclear bombs, which is the way you can think about stars. And
you can click the stars
that you hate us. Yeah.
So we'll get the point either way. So,
yeah.
So 5 stars. Make sure of that. At Going Through Health Podcast on Instagram. Any questions, please email us at gordyandzed@gmail.com and we will answer them, or at least try to answer them. Thank you all for listening. Zed, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And for the average adult weighing 70 kilograms, the lethal dose of caffeine is 10,000 to 14,000 milligrams.
Good night, everyone.
As long as you're near, I don't mind that way. Just looking back over the
Hey, this is Zed. This podcast is intended solely for general informational purposes and does not represent the provision of medical advice or the practice of any professional healthcare services. No clinician-patient relationship is formed. Nice try. And the use of the information provided or materials linked is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not meant to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should seek medical advice for any health issues they may have and should consult their healthcare providers for any such concerns.